Hello, everyone, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live series on the 2020 second half SAP SuccessFactors release. I'm your host, Craig Powers, managing editor at Rizing, and I'm very excited to say that today is payday, meaning we will be going over the latest updates in SuccessFactors, Employee Central Payroll. How many times do I say that a day? I don't know. A few housekeeping notes. As a reminder, with so many people working from home, bandwidth might be stretched. If there are issues with the stream, hold tight and we'll get it back online as fast as possible. So grab a drink. I'll let you decide which one depending on what time zone you're in. We're covering quite a few from morning, afternoon, and night on this panel. And so let's get going with our panelists. First, today, we're lucky to have Dion Van Onselen, our practice director for payroll and time in the APAC region. How are you doing, Dion?
Good morning, Craig. Pretty good, thanks. Very excited to have this session going.
Yeah, and you're looking very seasonally appropriate with your hat there.
Yes, I thought I need to add something on with this COVID beard that I got going. I had to add the festive bit in there. The grey is coming along, so it's. I hope by the time Christmas comes along, it's going to be all white and I can play Santa all the way through. So.
There you go. All right, and you'll be bringing the gift of payroll knowledge today.
Yes.
There you go.
Great gift. Everyone must be excited about that.
Yeah. All right. And so next, let me introduce Erie Coachman, our senior consultant for AMS, and he's located in North America. So how are you doing, Erie?
Thank you. I'm great, Craig. How are you?
I'm good. You're right about the time for a drink time. While Deon's just getting, he's in the morning, more coffee time for him.
Exactly. But to be honest, Dion got the attention with this Christmas mode, So I don't know, what can I say? What can I do?
Yeah. We had Christmas trees yesterday, so today we have the hat. So
I haven't set up yet.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it over to you two and let you discuss the latest payroll updates.
All right. Thank you, Craig and Dion.
That's right.
We discussed a couple of times, this update. We were so excited last month. And, every time, when a release comes, we are getting so excited, right? So this time we have many changes, and from pay statement to payroll control center, from some Infotypes to security, So let me start with when you see this updates, which one is you said, oh, this is the one, that really good one. So can you tell me about this a little bit?
Yeah, right. I went through all of these releases that came out in second half of this year, and with the fact that we now have half-yearly changes coming in as of this year, it's sort of a bulky list, and I had to go through them and decide, which one really tickles my fancy. There's quite a few of them that jumped up. The first and probably most notable for me in the Australian region was the addition to have leave loading payable from Employee Central time off side. It's really SAP's first step into the whole multiple payments, stackable leave types thing that we all know it's coming later next year. But to have the ability to add additional payments on top of the leave payment, I think is a big thing in Australia. There's a lot of companies that look at paying leave loading, and this will just make it a lot easier. So quite happy with that one to come up. What was it that jumped up first for you? Was there anything specific that you thought was interesting?
Always, when you see something like specific or local one, right? So it gets your attention, and then you are so happy because something is coming to your local, payroll, right? So I'm not an Australian payroll expert, but in the United States, we have also one change, and it's related with actually FLSA, so which is Fair Labor Standards Act. So this is more like compliance kind of change, but it's important. Not too many companies, they actually give their employees overtime, but if you give it, you're right, so you have to be compliant, right, with this act. So right now, this change actually comes to Infotype 15, right? So Infotype 15, as you know, it's additional payments, and it's not specifically local. And but if you follow this FLSA compliance, so if you are giving your employees a non-discretionary bonus, so you need to have start date and end date, for this type of bonus. So as you know, as everybody knows, we don't have end date, in Infotype 15, right? So this is a bonus, and SAP, the SuccessFactors, with this change actually gave us secondary Infotype, which is local for United States. So when you update non-discretionary bonus on Employee Central, actually it replicates to Infotype 15, and behind the scene you don't see it, but another secondary Infotype actually is getting created, and basically it keeps that start date and end date for the bonus. So there's one thing, I would like to mention. Today, whatever we are going to discuss, almost all of them, all the changes, it requires the HRSP 86, right?
Yeah, good point to raise there. They are reliant on HRSP 86 to be released, so everyone just reminded of you have to be on the sync point, which is support back 86. Yeah.
Also, there's one very important, let me say, tip for all of us. Even though you don't use, in the United States, even though you don't have FLSA or non-discretionary bonus, so if you apply HRSP 86 into your system, your replication will fail if you are trying to replicate Infotype 15. Okay, so, and it's a tip, you cannot find this anywhere. So you have to run a program. It's like a utility program. So it's a standard program, but actually it creates this secondary Infotype behind the scene. Okay, this is a tip for today, I think, for the people from United States.
I think that's a good tip, because usually those are the type of things that trick you up when you all of a sudden have a support pack implemented and things start falling over and you can't figure out what's going on. Good tip on that one. Good pick up there.
We discussed this before. We have one common change, right? So you like, and then I like. So can you talk about that one? The configuration related.
Yes, there was one of them that jumped up for me when you just talked about bonus payments. And that was the replication of payment ID and off-cycle reasons for Infotype 267, so our off-cycles Infotype. Previously, we didn't have integration of a payment ID, so if you wanted to have multiple off-cycles on the same day, that crucial payment ID that distinguishes your off-cycles from each other to either have a bonus payment with an advance payment, so two separate payment runs on the same day. SAP now has made provision for that to be replicated from Employee Central into Employee Central Payroll. I think a lot of people would be pretty happy with that, because it's just going to make life a lot easier with distinguishing between those payment runs, and you don't have to now wait for another day to do that advanced payment run or the additional run that you wanted to do on the same day. So there's a lot of benefit in that one that I see.
Exactly. So actually, that one is a good one. And also this location, creations in EC and replicating to ECP, it was really good change for me. So I was so excited when I presented, these changes to my clients. They got so excited because with this change, basically in Employee Central, you create a location, right? So this replication goes and creates personal area, sub area, all the tables, in ECP automatically. So that was a good change. But what happened?
Exactly, yes. So I was also very excited with that one, and very disappointed to see that SAP has actually removed it from this release in the end. Apparently, they had one or two issues with the pilot sites they had that rolled out to, and in the end decided to pull it from this release altogether, which is very unfortunate because I think there's a lot of people that was eagerly awaiting for that change to formally come in, and definitely would have made configuration setup a lot easier and a lot simpler going forward. And especially for you being in the managed services side, a lot less tickets for companies that want to just create a location and now you have to go and set up the config in the back end. It would have been really nice for them to have that control to be able to set it up. But I think we'll have to wait a little bit longer into next year before that one to come out. But yeah, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate that we missed out on that one.
But I would like to underline here one thing. Of course, we were both disappointed, but the mindset right now, SAP is trying to put the approach, it's good. So we will see this more, right? Yes. So right now it's going to start with locations, personal area, sub area, etc., and then it will go in other directions, right? So this is good. So another one is the pay statement. Like we have a couple of pay statement changes, which is we are using everywhere, right? Pay statement features. So could you please talk about this new integration option as well as the deep link?
Yes, so there's two of them that really stood out for me. One of them is the new integration option that's available. So in the past, we had two integration options for pay statements or pay slips, whichever you want to call them. You could either have the old type of setup where as soon as you run payroll, the pay statement displayed on the SuccessFactors side. However, that displayed without any balances or anything displayed. It just had a date for when it was, and the pay statement was just there. You could click on your pay statement, it was there. The second way that SAP gave it to you in the past was to say you could send, you had to run a replication job to send amounts back to Employee Central, which would then nicely display a period value for you, so your net pay or your gross pay, whichever one you wanted to display. And then you could click on those and it would display your payslip. SAP has now made it available to have a direct option whereby the pay statement will be directly available, but also with a balance. So it will have your net pay balance displaying in the EC side without you having to run the replication job. So just small changes that SAP is making just to make this whole process a little bit more streamlined and nice. One call out on that one probably is just the fact that you lose a little bit of the process of control of when you want the payslip to be displayed. So as soon as you're finished with your pay run, that payslip will be available on EC. So if as a customer you prefer to have the control of when the pay statement is displayed in EC, then you would probably still opt for the replication option, which is standard still available. But if you're not fussed with that too much, then this new way of direct integration is pretty good, actually. Quite like it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so,
sorry, mate, you go.
Yeah, I want to include a couple of things. So these new pay statement direct option actually is good for mobile app too. So SAP recommends actually this option. If you are a technical person, you're implementing or you're changing the system, first question, comes to your mind, okay, where is this setup, right? So you can go and download Employee Central Payroll integration with ECP integration, point-to-point integration document, guide, and you will find configuration steps. Okay, which is very useful. You need to configure before using it, and you will get an error. But the good thing is, even though you activate this option, if there is something wrong, okay, in the configuration or something is broken, actually the system uses the legacy one, the old one. Okay, so and you're not actually breaking anything, which is good. And also you can go back to direct and then go back to your legacy one or Fiori-like one. So you're not going to lose anything. You can do this test purposes in your system.
Yes.
So because Fiori-like one, you have to, as you said, you have to run a program to replicate payroll results. But if you turn this on, this direct option, are you going to lose this payroll results? No. So you can always go back and then run and then use it. So that is a good one too.
Yeah, good call out there. And while we're on the mobile side of it, still on the payslip thing, SAP did bring in another change whereby they're removing the year-to-date gross and year-to-date net payroll information from iOS and Android mobile apps. Now, this is not to say that if you're using the PDF payslip on mobile, that anything will change within the payslip itself. Not at all. What this refers to is just the payroll information screen, where you had a year-to-date value displayed there. The issue that was there, or challenge that SAP had, was that year-to-date value was always linked to a calendar year. So if you as a company was running your financial year independent of a calendar year, then those values never really added up. So SAP decided, let's remove those values rather from the front-end screen, and then you can still have your actual year-to-dates in the PDF payslip, which makes it a lot more, it's a lot more sensible. And I think it's a good change from them to bring that in.
So another question, my clients ask me, what about if it's direct? It goes and directly, reads this pay results. What happens? We don't want to show employees, yet. So you can use baddies to change these figures, these options. So, but the baddies are different than whatever you're using right now. Okay, so you can find all those things in the integration document. So, what about the deep link? What do you think about deep link? I think this one, EC. If you are EC person like Employee Central, deep link is very common, right? But for payroll, this some terminologies like deep link, and it's not common. So, what do you think about this one?
For me, I've had a scenario just recently where I needed to look at that, and where I wanted to use something similar. I had a requirement from a customer where we implemented, and they wanted to see the pay statement displayed in a different part of Fiori, because they use Fiori for their S4 side of their business. And as an employee portal where they enter into everything before they actually Employee Central directly, they wanted to make the payslip available at a different location. And through the use of deep links, SAP has now made it available for us to be able to have the payslip tile in different parts of the portal system. So you can have your payslip tile sitting in Fiori instead of having to sit within SuccessFactors in the employee profile. So it just minimizes the number of clicks that employees have to take before they can see their pay statement. So you can now have the pay statement as a tile right at the front end of Employee Central, or you can have it embedded in Fiori as a tile there. So it just makes the options of where you want to display the pay statement a lot better. Obviously, role-based security is all still taken into account of there, so there's no issues with security-wise, but just making the data available where it's needed, as opposed to employees having to click 3 or 4 or 5 times to actually get to their pay statement. I think it makes it a lot better and a lot easier.
That one is only for latest pay period, right? Display. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good one. So we have a lot of payroll control center related updates, but one of them is really good. So I'd like to discuss about this a little bit. Everybody knows if you're using payroll control center, so basically you can simulate your payroll, and the payroll simulation actually SAP keeps in somewhere, right, in table those simulation results that you can see the errors, etc. But you were not able to actually simulate and store posting, FI posting simulations. So with this change right now, actually you can run posting simulation for your test pay results. So before you have to run live payroll to run FI posting, but right now with your test payroll data, so you can run simulation for your test posting. So that is a good one too, right?
Yeah, I think it just enhances that whole test payroll area. So test payrolls has been really handy since they came in. In the old days, we ran our old simulation payrolls in the back end, and they were great, but you could really only look at one employee at a time and stuff, and you couldn't run validations across the actual full pay results. Then SAP made this test payroll available through the Payroll Control Center, which brought all of the validation rules into play, which was great, and a lot of companies had a lot of benefit out of it. I think adding in the posting simulation as a step in there now as well just enhances that experience of being able to check our payroll a lot earlier and to make sure that it is end-to-end a lot cleaner before we need to go into our live pay run. It makes our live pay run smoother, it makes it a lot smaller, and it just makes payday for the payroll teams a lot easier because we already know everything is smoothed. It gives us just that additional day or 2 or 3 that we can work with finance if cost centers was closed off incorrectly or something that is making our posting run fall over. We can just have that highlighted a lot earlier and just buys us time in the process. So I think that's a great addition from SAP.
Yeah, so Payroll Control Center, I'm sure you agree with me. Payroll Control Center, SAP's favorite child right now. Yeah. So they are actually putting a lot of effort to make it better every day. So every HR support pack, right? So we have HR support pack every month. So you see hundreds, changes for different things, but most of them are related with Payroll Control Center, and it gives me hope. And one day, everybody will like Payroll Control Center. And to be honest, so right now we are running a lot of issues, but in the end, SAP recognized Payroll Control Center. Actually, payroll is a teamwork, not just one individual, process. So, and I'm really happy to see with these changes, like for example, admin alerts, right? So KPI changes. This one, so this is really good for the users.
Yes, definitely. You touched on the admin alerts there. I think it's a good addition as well from SAP on the SuccessFactors side, whereby you can have the admin alerts 2.0 now used for time data replication errors, and administrators can assign those errors to themselves, which just makes the administration of the system a little bit easier, and you can identify those sooner on. Something else that came up out of the Payroll Control Center piece was the solution enhancement for the validation rules. Sounds like a very, very simple addition. Basically, what it does is, with the current SAP standard validation rules, they had a set value set against them. So if you wanted to check $1,000, you could only check $1,000. SAP has enhanced that a little bit just so that you can use parameters with that now. So you could set up your scenarios, and you can then use that same scenario for multiple wage types and put parameters against so that you can check specific values. Just the reusability of it and makes the configuration a lot easier and simpler. So I'm quite happy with what's in there.
So I see we have a question. Is it possible to run payroll for only one employee in Payroll Control Center, right? So I know, I'm sure you're gonna talk about this, but so think about that. Payroll Control Center first is designed to identify all those issues, run all those KPIs, validations, etc. So it's not actually specifically designed for running, one employee, but you can always run off-cycle payroll. So there is an option that you can run off-cycle payroll with on-demand option. So on payroll control center, but it's not going to be your regular, payroll run. It's going to be off-cycle payroll.
Yes, and it's also probably a good call out there to say that the intent of the payroll control center is to make the pay run end-to-end a lot easier. So at this stage, no, you can't enter individual employee numbers and run it for individual employees. However, the pay run is a lot faster and a lot smoother. So you could kick off the whole test pay run and still look at just one employee's results coming out of it. Yes, it's not a single employee that you're running for, and yes, you have to run it for the whole environment. But with the enhancements made along the way, it runs so much quicker that basically the need to run it just for a single employee sort of falls off.
Yeah, that was a good question, actually. So I'm sure SAP will enhance, all those features in the, I'm sure, because you can always ask from SAP to enhance things. Most clients, they don't do it, but I encourage, my clients to recommend new things. There's always room to improve. So even though something's broken, etc., so SAP will respond. So one other feature, I think when I mentioned to you, you got excited too. Purchasing a leave, right? So like buy time. I'm not sure is it common, for everybody, but in Australia, right? So I think it's common.
Yes.
Yeah, right now we have this change. The employees can purchase, their time off basically exchanging with money. So you can basically, with installments, you can pay back to your company. So right now this process can be done in EC and replicated to ECP, right? So what do you think about this one?
Yes, it's a great enhancement to bring it into the system as well. It's a business process that's been around, especially in Australia, for a while, where people are allowed to encash their leave or purchase additional leave. There's two different concepts there. So the one is encashing the leave so that they can encash it for money. The other one is whereby they can buy additional leave. So they'll say might have 4 weeks worth of annual leave for the year, and they want one additional week. So there's a purchase leave option now in there so that we can have the offset of that recurring payment created with the addition of the additional week's leave. So great enhancement to bring that in along as well.
That's a good one. Do you have anything in your mind that you would like to bring? I think these are great changes.
Yeah. So for me, from what was released, I was really happy with what SAP brought along this half year release. A lot of great changes, things that will really improve not just the outcome for the users, but also the outcome for projects and the effort involved in putting projects on the roadmap. So implementation-wise, a lot easier, usability a lot easier, and making things easier for the end user in reducing the number of clicks that they need to get to the real data they need. So I think overall, great release from SAP. A few nice things that I'm looking forward to for them to bring out next year. Probably more in relation to the integration with time and the whole new time piece that SAP is looking at introducing. So really looking forward to what's coming first half next year.
Exactly. Right now we have halves, right? Before 2020, we had quarter updates. So and we have right now two, one in first and second of the year. So and also SAP updated their certification requirement based on that too. So if you are certified ECP certified or EC certified. So basically, you need to get your Delta exam. So every after half, one in the first half and after the second half. So just a quick tip. Yeah.
Get those Delta exams done. That's a good
Exactly.
thought.
I think it's going to be, it should be done by February next year, sorry. Yeah. All right. So I think we are
That's
done
definitely
for today, right?
what we wanted to go through today, yeah. And Craig's back.
I'm back. Thank you both. That was great. Thanks for answering the questions, and I appreciate that. I do want to point out that if you're watching this and you don't have EC payroll and you think it might be something for your company, and you might maybe even think that you're too small of a company to have this, you might not be. We do have a product called Synchrony Payroll. Reach out to us and we can help you explore ECP options there. So yeah, Dion and Eray, thank you so much again. Our penultimate show here before we wrap it up tomorrow. ECP sounds like we had a lot going on. I'm in college. I'm thinking semester now that they split it up into two. But yeah, this half. But yeah, so again, thank you both. Hopefully we'll have you back next half. Did you like it enough that you'll come back?
Most definitely, Craig. I'll definitely be back. And
yeah, sure.
Same for you, probably, Eray. Just want to call out to the viewers out there. If you want any more information around any of the topics that we discussed today, please reach out to either myself or Eray. I'm happy to field questions if you reach out to us directly, or if you want to know more about the full half-year release, SAP has got a What's New viewer. Jump onto the SAP portal and look for the What's New viewer. It's got a good explanation of all of these changes that came out. So it's a lot of information out there.
Great. And I said there was another user with one more question as we're wrapping up here. We'll get back to you on that. We'll reach out to you personally to answer that question. And like Dion said, you can reach out to either of them or at hcm@rising.com with any questions you might have. So again, thank you both. That's all we have for you today on ECP. Let me remind you, we'll be back tomorrow with the final installment of this release with recruiting. That again, it's the same time every day, 5 p.m. Eastern in North America. That's 9 a.m. Eastern in Australia. You can find the whole schedule on Rizing HCM's LinkedIn page, as well as all the replays of all of our different modules that we've done now over the past few weeks. And so be sure to catch those. You can also check out our Rizing blog for expanded analysis on the H2 2020 release. We also have lots of payroll webinars and content that you can check out there. I would encourage you to check out some of our payroll content as well. So again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.